First off, thanks for being here today. Change of schedule, sudden change. Must have been a turnover somewhere, but appreciate you taking the time to get here early and get this thing done. Close that chapter on week 6. Pretty much halftime of the season. Got 6 in, got 6 to go in regular season. Obviously, happy and excited for our kids. Going on the road is never easy. Against a talented team like Florida State, great team win. Again, everybody in this room thought the play calling was great. Thought the execution was pretty darn good, and obviously a lot to clean up. Was obviously happier with the offense than I was with how we played defensively. Gave up too many explosives, 6 on the day, and a couple that just didn't need to be done. Whether it's pressure and Tamon making a play on the back end, and again, that last play, that last touchdown. Not happy, again, probably with the play call as much as anything, but we got to make a play and play the coverage correctly. We didn't play the coverage correctly. We could have been in a different, safer coverage to help our kids out and make them earn it and not, just make them earn it, which is what we kind of talked about on the headphones prior to, and we didn't do a good job there as a staff. So, but happy for our kids. Again, got to make more plays. Overall, you go on the road against a really talented football team, as talented a team as you're going to play against, we got the win. Obviously, on the road again, first night game of the year, 7:30 up there in Syracuse. Fran Brown does an excellent job. I think he's an outstanding coach. Obviously, had a heck of a year ago. You see his toughness. I mean, Fran Brown's a tough dude, and their team plays tough all the time. They play with great effort. Coach Nixon is their offense coordinator, NFL guy. I think he does an excellent job. I think they're in the top 10 in the country in passing offense. So they've done a nice job of mixing it up. Probably come in being 50-50 against us, we anticipate. Outstanding coach. And Coach Robinson, Elijah Robinson, is their defense coordinator. Great friends with Fran, does a great job on defense, play a lot of 4 down, a lot of man coverage, a lot of zone coverage, very similar to probably what we are. So, great team, great challenge on the road, and moving on to the next one. Questions?
On the first drive, not only did you convert 3 fourth downs, but you went for 3 fourth downs. You've only done that one other time in your tenure. Was that a matter of trusting Cade, the offense, Mason, or more so manageable spots? Manageable spots
and manageable down distance. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. If there were 6 of them, we probably would have went for it 6 times if we felt the need to and felt that, based on where the ball was placed, the distance. And again, we would have done 3 more. I mean, I'm kind of shocked that we didn't have more of them, but especially when you have 3 in the first series, that means we were executing and we were, ahead of the sticks. We weren't behind. Those weren't 4th and 10s. We were trying to convert. They were manageable. All 3 of them may have been 4th and 1s. So that's a great job by the offense, putting us in that position where you got 4 down territory.
Last week we were talking about Mason's debut. You said, look, it was a great game. It was one game. We'll see how it transforms. What did you learn about him on Saturday?
We saw. We will see. And we saw. He's a competitor. He does a great job leading the offense. He wasn't shaken by the road. He wasn't shaken by throwing a pick. Wasn't shaken by throwing a second pick. He continues to come back. He's just got a swagger about him and a confidence that it doesn't matter. And again, different quarterbacks can come in at different times and they throw a couple picks. And it's like, and you see that they don't react well to it, or his face changes to, he gets big eyes or a different look on his face. He didn't have a different look. He had the same look that he had on the first series of the game to the last series of the game. Yeah, 4-minute victory offense.
You guys, a couple weeks ago, you got a quarterback throw a few picks, and then you ended up making a change. For him to respond that way, does he also maybe have a little more? Has he earned a little rope at this point?
He's had a lot of rope from the beginning. I mean, he had a lot of rope a week ago. We're going to give our quarterbacks rope. I mean, we're not going to put a guy out there that we feel is limited and can't do this or that. The playbook is open. We feel like we can do anything with Mason.
I kind of meant more in terms of, like, if he makes a mistake, there's going to be other opportunities. Because some guys, when they get in for the first time, especially that young, they might think, man, if I make 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, I'm out of it. That wasn't the case.
Not at all. Not at all.
Would you, of those 2 interceptions, would you qualify, or would you call those mistakes? I mean, one effectively was a punt. I think you said that, and then the other one, Kenny slipped. I mean, when you and Cade and Mason went over, did you feel like he made good decisions on those throws?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, the punt, I mean, he took a shot, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Even on that one, if I think it was Blue, right? If Blue goes up and attacks the ball, you probably get a PI on it, but we didn't do a good job. We got to do a better job coaching what we get on that one. And the second one was probably a bad decision. Just throw it away if you don't like what you want, But again, young guys are going to make those mistakes, just trying to make a play. And you got to love his confidence, but we got to protect the football. It cost you a game. And again, that second one was after a block punt, I believe. And, we got a block punt. Wish we would have smothered that ball and put it in the end zone and fell on it. But we didn't get a piece of it. Could have executed that a little bit better. So we did get the whole ball. And but we got no points out of that. So that's we're in field goal range. We got to be smarter with the football.
Obviously, you knew this freshman class was good, but did you expect them to be making such important plays in such pivotal games as soon as they are?
Never. I mean, you don't expect that at the beginning. I think we've had a lot of great recruiting classes here, and guys that can play. But Sean Lee's really played well. Mason's obviously played well. I'm trying to think of some of the other true freshmen. Boosie's pretty good too. We saw Boosie in the spring. We thought he could be a factor. Thought he's kind of got that different gear, kind of like a Dez. He's got the ability to break them, and he's shown good burst, and we're happy with where those freshmen are at this point.
Matt, do you feel like the pass game is opening up the run a little bit? Where do you feel like you are with that?
Yeah. Jeff, I mean, it's on a weekly basis. I mean, if you can't run the ball, okay, and you're being forced to be one-dimensional and you have to throw it, you got problems. Same thing if you can't throw the ball and you're forced to run it. We want to be two-dimensional in a perfect world. It's not always that way, and it depends on what they give you. If they want to come out in a three-man front, depending on the coverage, we're going to do what dictates it. And you probably noticed we're a little bit slower. We're trying to get in a good play, and Coach Bell's done a great job game planning. The offense has done a great job game planning and putting our kids in the best position to have success in the run or pass game.
You mentioned after the game that the offensive line was fired up. There was a lot of talk. What did you see just technically?
The front four that we played against is pretty massive. I liked what I saw. Guys play with an attitude. Obviously, Lynn had the one penalty at the end of the half, which we should have never maybe gotten to it, but we did. Shoot, the headphones are off, and I'm never going to take my headphones off early again. I think our offensive line is playing with an attitude, and that's what you have to play in this game. You've got to have an attitude, and I thought they go by O-Block. I thought O-Block played a darn good game.
Pat, as a defensive guy yourself, when you look at a guy like Dez, in particular, what he's able to do through the air, just how is what he's able to do, how does that cause trouble in breakdowns against defenses trying to defend him? Just how enhanced do you feel like your offense is by him?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you're playing coverage-wise. I mean, they got into some playing man coverage, and like I said, it comes down to game plan and putting your guys in position and getting your tailback in mismatches where they got to run to get them or they lose them, and they're running through traffic to get to the guy. If you're going to play man coverage, you got to be alert to number 0, and obviously everybody that plays against us, and I think the same thing goes with our other tailbacks. I mean, they're going to have opportunities in the pass game if you're running man coverage and we can do a good job in our route concepts. And it comes down to route concepts and what coverage you're getting behind it.
And is it something about maybe the way your group's maturing, that sequence at the end of the first half could have deflated some groups? It looks like you're going to go in and get a score and man up, getting a score instead, and you're on the road in a hostile place and it's a team that's desperate. I mean, what was it like in there at halftime? How would you sort of characterize the response to the last game?
Well, I mean, they responded in the second half, I think, pretty well. But that's the adversity in the game. And we talk about ups and downs in the game. They're going to happen. They're going to happen this weekend up in Syracuse. There's going to be, good plays, bad plays. There's going to be adversity, and it's how you react to that adversity that really matters. And I thought our guys hung in there. Talked last night. Just we're up 7, then it's tied, then we're up, and then it's tied, and then they're up, and then we go into the halftime, down. But our guys bowed up and knew it's a 60-minute game, and we came out and played 4 quarters. We played 4 better quarters than they did, and that's what counts.
You think you guys are getting better at navigating those ups and downs as the season goes on?
We'll see. I mean, last week, yes. This week, do we? We'll find out. But I think it's a week by week. Like I said, I was disappointed in the second half. Just some technical little things defensively that we didn't do. Adversity-wise, that is a concern that will get cleaned up this week. But guys trying to make plays and start playing outside the box instead of doing their job. If we just do our job and read our keys, we'll be a heck of a lot better off than, sometimes we lose our mind and we start to think of this player, that player, what if I thought they were going to do. I don't want to hear I thought. I want to know what your key does and do what he tells you to do. Don't guess. And that's kind of what we saw defensively in the second half.
You mentioned that long Florida State touchdown towards the end of the game in your opening remark. Just what did that look like on film? Just what did that reveal as far as what happened there and how to prevent that?
It looked bad on tape. Okay, it looked worse on tape than it looked in person, and our guys know how to play the certain coverage we were in, and we did a poor job of executing. And again, that comes down to, guys, making sure they're where they need to be, and it's the details, and it's 60 minutes of details, and we didn't have it on that play for sure. And there was other opportunities, some of the explosive passes should have eliminated them. I mean, we blitz off the edge, Kyle Lewis comes clean. Kyle Lewis is going to make that play 99% of the time. He doesn't. It's a good quarterback. He's athletic, and he makes us miss and slings it down the field with Kyle still chasing him down. But we knew that was a guy we had to keep in the pocket, still attacking the pocket, and we didn't. And then, it's cover three, and, we're protecting the end zone. And we got to go make a play on the ball. I mean, the ball's up in the air, and we had plenty of time to react to it instead of thinking he's throwing it to you and making a catch and a tackle in the end zone doesn't matter. I mean, you got to go get the ball and knock it down or catch it, one or the other. So.
Because the defense wasn't as sturdy, did that make a play like Sheridan Harrison's forced fumble and Jashir recovering that like almost bigger because they were able to make a play like that?
No doubt about it. I mean, again, it comes down to they got into a run phase where they wanted to pound it at us, with their big offensive line, those big tailbacks they had, athletic, guys that can run. But it's making them earn it. They might got 5 or 6 yards here and there, but the more plays you have on the field, there's more opportunities to make mistakes. And I think that last drive was 43 seconds. I kind of went through a drive chart last night with them about the 3 and 4 minute drives made them earn it. And then, that 43-second drive, we didn't make it, we gave it to them. And, you can't give gifts in the ACC.
How do you look at your running back rotation right now, especially between Jewels and Jamari? We're just hot hand.
We're just going to keep, it's hot hand, but we're just going to continue to rotate them because I think they're all capable of making big plays. We'll play to their strengths and get them on the field and keep guys fresh.
You mentioned, Brad, it's a hard-hitting team at Syracuse. They've had to use a couple of different quarterbacks, but yet they continue to have success in the pass game. What is it they do schematically that makes them so tough?
They got base concepts that they've done a nice job executing. They got great receivers that make plays out there. They got a lot of targets. They got a tight end, Valeri, that's a player. We know he was a player. He can run with the ball after he catches it. They got a good football team, and they got weapons and they got good schemes, and that's what you need is guys that can make plays. And also, schemes that can get you open based on what you're seeing coverage-wise.
How have you thought about how Kendall Stanley is building that left tackle?
Thought he did a nice job the other day. I mean, for his first true start, he's exactly what we thought. Back in August, I told you, him and Percy were battling out, and was happy with, with his performance, and it'll only get better.
Going back to the freshmen, you have 6 guys who have currently already played 5 games. Mason's well on his way to burning his red shirt. That's the most since 2020 that you have burned the red shirts. But looking at the coaching staff, 5 of those guys are either offense or Trey Bukowski, special teams. What does that say about the assistant coaches, their first recruiting classes, the ability to identify talent that can play right away?
Yeah, well, I think, again, through my tenure, we've done a pretty good job. We go back and watch, quite often. Back old school 2015, we've got talent in that room. I can't say this class is any more talented, but it's opportunities, right? I mean, Des being out a week, or really 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was, seemed like, half of West Virginia, all Louisville, all BC. Out 3 weeks pretty much. Gave those other guys a chance to grow up and get, if Des is in there, we might not still know what we have because we're still playing Des. So, it's opportunity. And, our guys have run with the opportunity, just like Trey has at kicker, he's 2 for 2. Another, freshman that's making an impact in the game. So I think Trey's only missed 1 field goal in the year. That could have been the game winner, on the road. So, I'm happy with those guys. But we've done a good job recruiting. I can't say it's been any different this year. But, sometimes you make mistakes, but it's what we do. Again, we've done as good a job as anybody in the country as far as developing talent. We've known that. We've talked about that. And that's not just a 1-year thing. That's an 11-year thing.
On the the matter of the fourth downs you were talking about earlier, I mean, it's one thing to go for 4th and 1 when you're at their 35 or inside their 30, but your first one, I think you were at your own 34. Did you come into the game with, I don't know, some extra energy, extra little more confidence, just either from Mason or from whatever it might have been, to go for it in that situation? And that's a risky play, right?
Yeah, it's a risky play. A few years ago, at Virginia in the rain, I remember coming out of the tunnel and stepping a foot of water. I think we went for it on 4th and 1 at our own 11-yard line. So, there's risks and rewards. We're not playing to tie the game. I'm not, we play to win. And if we feel good with the matchups and what we have and who we have, we're going to take those chances. So every game's a little bit different.
Pat, you're at the halfway point of the season. What do you make of the conference at large? It seems Miami has separated itself, but after that, Georgia Tech's off to a good start. But it really seems that the preseason goals that you guys had still seem to be in front of you.
We've known that. You get out of the preseason games, and we know that. We gave 2 games away. We gave 1 conference game away, but we got a really talented football team that's fun to watch, I think, in all phases. And whether it's block punts and return yardage on punts and kickoffs to offense and defense, I think we got a talented team that's fun to watch, and we're going to be in every game the rest of the year. We've been in every game so far. It's not like it's been 38-10 blowouts and we've lost, and you're coming in here hangdogging. We're going to be in football games. We just got to take care of the business at hand, and worry about just being 1-0, and what happens in the end will happen in the end. But we got as good a chance as anybody in the country. And we got Georgia Tech coming in here, and we got Clemson coming. I should say we're going to Georgia Tech. We got Miami coming in here.
Defensive end is a position that's been pretty disproportionately banged up at the moment. Just what have you made of your depth there, and just how guys like Isaiah Neal have managed to step up?
Ghost has really stepped up a bunch, and the depth is not very good, and that's probably even more impressive. Win on the road with 4 defensive ends. I mean, we traveled on the road with 4 guys that could jump in a game. And so the depth wasn't very good, but our guys hung in there. Ghost has done an unbelievable job. And speaking of injuries, I always tell you if somebody's out for the year, Zach Carruthers is out for the year, so we won't have him for the remainder of the year. And so is Nigel Maynard, one of our corners that was just starting to get really good. I mean, I think the week before he had 27 snaps on special teams. Nigel, he came in, in his spring ball and was playing really, really well. Then in fall camp, he gets a shoulder, and then we got another season-ending injury with him. He was really coming on, and we know Carruthers was as well. You guys could see that in, defensive snaps. But, disappointed to obviously lose both those guys. But next man up, and, there are no free agents. We can't go sign anybody else, at least now. Maybe in 5 years, the transfer portal will be open during the season, and we will be able to. Who knows? But right now, the portal's not open.
10.5 seasons here. What's been your observations and thoughts on the surface at Acrisure Stadium?
The surface? I didn't get to see much of the game yesterday. I heard a little bit of the noise, but even before I heard the noise, I kind of went into Coach LaSalle's office. I said, "You see that field?" And for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm not a grounds guy, but I heard some of the noise from yesterday, and I thought the last game was not very good. And I thought it was a little shaky when I walked out there. It just seemed dry. I don't know why. And it's a drought. I mean, Mother Nature. I don't know what it was. I know we got sprinkler system out there, but it just seemed really dry. And I caught the last 2 minutes of that Steeler game yesterday, and I was like, holy cow. I went into LaSalle's office and said, hey, it doesn't look very good out there. It doesn't look good. So hopefully we can get that thing back where it needs to be a great surface. We love playing on the grass, so we can't change that.
Pat, I was wondering if you had any thoughts on what happened at Penn State yesterday, and sort of as a coach, how do you feel, knowing Coach Franklin the way you do, sort of the way that played out?
Jay Franco's a great coach, and it's a business we're in. And I say business, it's business, and places got to do what they got to do. But I'm not concerned about that. We don't play them, and James will be okay. Got a lot of respect for him, and it's a shame because he's a great coach. I mean, we all know that he's won a lot of football games. He's in the playoff a year ago, and then he's looking like he is. So I'm more focused on Fran Brown and Syracuse Orange and the challenge we have this weekend going up there in the dome in a nasty atmosphere.
One more quick follow-up on that. Not specific to Coach Franklin, but yesterday the Oregon State guy got let go. Trent Dilfer got let go at UAB. It seems like this midseason stuff is happening more and more. And is that something that you've noticed as you've been in the business more? And why do you have any thoughts on maybe why?
I have no
Hasn't
idea.
happened?
I'm just worried about winning football games here so it doesn't happen to me. So my job is to take care of my job, stay in my lane.